You are now tuning in to Blog TV. This part of Blog TV right here is what I call the knowledge section of Blog TV. You know what I mean? So now you are tuning in. You dig? You're tuning in right now. You know what I mean? So, okay, how can I start this? Okay, this one right here, I titled this one called Original People. You know, some joints I saw on YouTube, whatever, digging in on the state of black people, like, you know, in the state that we in and stuff like that. You know, so, you know, this is not a response, it's just something adding on to a couple of joints I saw on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? I'm building on that aspect. So what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to just give a backdrop. Okay, state of black people. This is how I'm going to start this off. Okay. I would say we got to look at the whole civil rights thing. You know what I'm saying? We got to look at the whole civil rights of freedom fighters. You know what I'm saying? Not just civil rights, but before then, like, brothers and sisters fighting for our freedom, like, you know what I'm saying? So we gotta look at that aspect. We gotta start with brothers like, you know what I'm saying, Marcus Messiah Garvey, you know what I mean, Noble Drew Ali, Master Farad Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him, you know what I'm saying, Father Law, Malcolm X, aka Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, peace be upon him. You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Like, the list goes on, but, you know, I'm going to just start with the 60s, because that was a very pivotal moment, you know what I'm saying, in our true story, not his story, true story, you know what I'm saying, true story. And how that affects us today. Okay. This is how I see it, because see is to understand what the third eye. You know what I'm saying? The two eyes ain't but doorways to the third eye, which is the mind. So this is how I see it. Okay, how I see it is that you got, okay, man and woman. We is in a struggle together, because today we're separated. Black man, black woman, so separated, and we trying to compete and battle with each other and stuff like that. So, but during the 60s, we was together. You know what I mean? Like, together. Okay, for instance, you have Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? Peace be upon him. You know what I mean? Martin Luther King. Okay. It has said that he cheated on Coretta. Like, you know, he had side females. Like, you know. Whether it's true or false, probably it's true. I don't know. Like, I ain't digging to that man history as far as his marital status or what he was doing in his personal life. You know what I'm saying? All that need to be concerned is the message he was delivering. But nonetheless, okay, let's take that. Coretta Scott King, peace be upon her, she didn't air the brother out. You know what I'm saying? She could have easily aired him out. If that's what he was doing, she could have aired him out. But she stuck by his side because it wasn't about them. It's about trying to free and liberate our people from this oppressor. So she could have aired them out on the strength of that, on personal reasons alone. She could have just aired them out to the public. You know what I'm saying? You got the most honorable Elijah Muhammad with his wife, his first wife. I think her name is Clara Muhammad or something like that. Like, you know. Now, by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad having, you know what I'm saying, different wives or whatever, had wives as secretaries or whatever, you know, she could have aired them out. Clara could have aired them out, but she didn't. She stuck by the God. Like, she stuck by the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him. She stuck by him because these brothers was delivering the message to this physical plane to get us back to our godly state awareness. You know what I'm saying? To get us to our God mind, dealing with that infinite plane and our chakras. Or with the 5 levels of consciousness, get us to tap in or deal with the infinite conscience. That's what he was trying to do. So she could have aired him out for personal reasons, but she know it was much bigger than her. So with that being said, you know what I mean, now what happens is that didn't translate to the now generation. You know what I'm saying? And why that didn't translate to the now generation, and how I see it, it didn't translate to the now generation because you had 85ers then, when you had the revolutionaries, we had Black Panthers, you had the Nation of the Gods and the Earth, we starting out with the Father-in-Law, you had the Nation of Islam, you had Marcus Messiah Garvey with his movement, you know what I'm saying? Then you had the Noble Drew Ali with the Moors. During those times, you still had the 85%. See, this generation now is bred through the 85%. Like, you hear a lot of elders, a lot of adults talking about this generation. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We had to fight for y'all. Let me explain something. A lot of old heads was not part of the fight. Alright? A lot of old heads that was back there in the 60s was not a part of the fight. Alright? Was not a part of the fight. They were not freedom fighters. A lot of these 85ers, these old heads, didn't march with Martin Luther King, wasn't part of the Nation of the Gods and the Earth, or 5%ers when the father was physically here, you know, when his physical presence was here. You know, none of them joined the Nation of Islam. None of them was with the Morris Temple of Science. These were old head they were young 85ers in the 60s that turned out to be old head 85ers today. So this is why, and the generation now is bred by the old head 85ers. They're not bred by the revolutionaries. You know what I'm saying? By revolutionaries. Okay, let's take, for example, we take Tupac. Smalls is a Black Panther. I had a high rank in that too. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell that was all in Pac music. You could tell he was raised by that. It was all in his music. All in his music. You know what I'm saying? I was just checking out the B.I.G. movie. Like, you know, when Big said Pac was two people at one time. 1 minute it's a revolutionary. 1 minute, you know, he's thugging out or whatever. But what people got to understand is that that Pac was entrenched in dealing with 85ers. You know, and then let me break that down. He knew what he knew, but he didn't want to feel isolated because he was the one who stood alone amongst his peers. His peers wasn't dealing with what he was dealing with. You know what I mean? Wasn't raised how he was raised. Not all the peers that he came up with, his peers, none of them were children of Black Panthers. They were children of 85ers. So he had to have a dual personality. He had to have that in order to deal with the 85, meaning dumb, deaf, and blind, to whatever, knowledge of themselves, whatever, you know. And he had to have a personality where he dealt with what his mother and his stepfather, you know what I'm saying, brung him up under. You know what I mean? Which is the guises of the Black Panthers. So Pac had to have dual personalities. It ain't like he was a hypocrite trying to be one way and didn't know who to be. Is that he had to be this because he didn't want to feel isolated amongst his peers. You know what I mean? Now you get some who don't care whether their peers don't accept them. They're gonna do their duty. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm one of those individuals that I'm going to do my duty regardless. You know what I'm saying? My duty is to teach the uncivilized. We're going to tune right back because, you know, time is running. You know, YouTube gives you only limited minutes. So I'm going to come back at y'all. Part 2 of this. All right? Stay tuned.